Welcome to Providence Hill Presents Exit Stage Right with Martha Sullivan. Exit Stage Right, the show where we actually come together to talk about ways to build, buy, and sell your business so that you can exit stage right when you want to move on to your next adventure and do so while meeting all of your financial goals. Whether you own your own company or you hope to at some point in time, or you're a leader within your company and are aspiring to other adventures somewhere in your future, this is the show for you, where we're going to talk the business of business and how you can set up yourself and your organization for its brightest and most valuable future. And as I said, have the brightest future financially for yourself as well. I am your host, Martha Sullivan. So welcome to Provenance Hill Presents Exit Stage Right. So allow me to introduce myself. I live in the Madison, Wisconsin area, and I am what I affectionately refer to as a recovering CPA. Well, technically, I'm still a CPA, but I really come about CPA-ishness in a unique way. I actually never dreamed of becoming an accountant. I know that's hard to believe. I mean, who doesn't believe or dream of becoming an accountant? But no, I actually started my career in information systems, and my dream was to help businesses improve their profitability and their growth and their value by looking at systems and how we can improve the systems, because I believe process determines results. So I was working as a consultant with a what is now a global CPA giant. At that time, they were a regional firm, and doing systems consulting, strategic planning, all sorts of different projects, and was told one too many times, you can't do that. You're not an accountant. You're not a CPA. So in my most genius act of rebellion of my career, I said, fine, I'll play your silly game. And so I took tax season off and went back and got the classes that I needed to be able to sit for the CPA exam. And wouldn't you know it, I get the credential, and all of a sudden I am one of the boys. Life is so good, so good. Well, I tease about it, but in reality, it changed the course of my career, because after I left the CPA firm a few years later, I went into industry as a controller for a family business to business, direct supplier, and got some great experience there that led me to become a CFO of another family business. And that family business was in dire straits. When I was hired, they were actually it was a turnaround situation, which was a wonderful experience in many ways for me, but it also showed me the insight of what the stress is for a business owner when the financials aren't right, when they're depending on the business, but all of a sudden it's not working for them. So ultimately, we turned that around, and I have spent the rest of my career in and out of consulting roles and other leadership, ownership roles, bringing me today to Provenance Hill Consulting, where I have spent the last 6 years between the firm I was with prior to starting Provenance Hill, focusing purely on helping business owners grow their value and get ready for transitioning off to their next adventure, selling that company so that they can go on and pursue other interests, other business ideas, or other just family things. So that is the Reader's Digest of who I am and where Exit Stage Right really came to be. So the name Exit Stage Right, if you're familiar with the term at all, you know that it's a theater term. And my husband and I, we have two kids, two aspiring adults at this point. But at the time, my son, that I came up with the term as it relates to business, My son was a theater kid all through elementary, middle school, high school, and ultimately he was a theater major. And so we became very familiar with the term exit stage right. It is the mechanism that playwrights use when they are directing the actors to move on from the scene, get out of the way as quietly and as smoothly as possible with the least amount of distraction and disruption to the scene, disruption to the fellow players on stage, and distracting to the audience. So I think that is a perfect analogy for what we need to do in our businesses, and that is exit stage right. Whether we are the owner of the business or aspire to own our own company at some point in time, or we're a leader and we're in varying roles that require us to step up and lead other people. Exit stage right is a very important concept for us to leave the scene a little bit better than when we arrived, deliver value along the way, and know that as we exit stage right, we are able to take that experience and that value and leverage it for our own well-being, as well as those that were on the stage and in the audience. So that's where exit stage right came from. And in fact, I started using that as the title of my blog in Business Magazine, which is ibmadison.com if you're interested in checking it out. But in that, I've told stories and discussed all the different aspects that make a business more profitable, more transferable, and more sustainable in terms of thriving and surviving all the ups and downs that businesses have and that occur as business ownership evolves. So welcome. Welcome. We really appreciate you being here. And that's the genesis of what exit stage right means for business. So you'll hear me talk about value and valuation from time to time on this show and in future shows. And I thought it would be important today to start out with one of the 3 segment plans that I have for this show. And that one would be on value and how to grow and harvest the best value for your company. The other segments, one is called Rather Eat Nails, and the last one is Shake Your Money Maker. And if we have time this morning, we'll talk through each of those. But I do want to spend a little bit of time setting the stage to understand why I have this passion around helping business leaders understand the role of value in your company. It's not just enough, I don't believe. It's not just enough to focus on revenue and profit. The value of your company is an important factor as well. So if you can humor me for a moment while I share my screen here, I do want to give a little bit of background on the different types of ownership models, if you will, and owner types, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And in sharing my screen, you will see that now. If you own shares, let's say you've got a 401k or maybe an IRA somewhere, you've probably invested in stocks. And there are 2 primary types of stocks beyond bonds. We're just going to focus on ownership interest in a company. Those are stocks or shares in the company. There are 2 types. One is known as an income stock, and the other is known as a value or a growth stock. And this actually applies to privately held businesses as well, as it points to a mindset. So An income stock is a stock where you expect that you will receive income throughout the lifetime of your ownership of those shares of a company. So let's say you own Procter and Gamble. It most likely provides you with a dividend, probably on a quarterly basis, for owning that stock. So every year you earn income by virtue of owning that stock. Income that goes into your bank account. It's cash. On the other hand, you have a growth stock or a value stock, and that would be Apple. Apple is a prime example of a value stock where you're buying it in. When you buy in, you have no expectation of getting income during the time of your owning Apple shares. You expect to buy in at one price, and by the time you sell it, it'll sell at this price. So you're buying low and you're selling high. That is a value stock. That is a growth stock. And the same is true in a privately held business. We have businesses that are income businesses, if well, hopefully all businesses are income businesses, but the primary driver behind owning that company is for income. A solopreneur is a prime example of an income focused company where it is primary goal is to provide the wherewithal for that solopreneur to earn a living and provide income to their family. On the other side of the equation, there is the entrepreneur that starts a business and gets it established with the dream of selling it someday to a bigger company or going public or somehow capitalizing on the value that they have created above and beyond the income that they earn along the way. And very often in startups that have this model, they're willing to take less income in the process of building the value of the company. So the same actually goes to the mindset of the business owner. You have a lifestyle owner, which is, as I used as the example of the solopreneur, that's a lifestyle owner. You have your own company to meet the goals of your lifestyle. On the other end of the continuum is the value creator that is thinking, yeah, I'm going to build this puppy up and we're going to sell it to somebody else. And so not only am I going to earn profit and income from the business throughout the process of owning it, I'm going to have a big payday at the end when I sell this puppy. So it looks like these are two different directions from this picture, but the reality is it's a continuum. It is definitely a continuum. So why do we talk about value? Why is that important? Well, there are a number of different reasons that it is important. One is by focusing on value and having that mindset in your decision making as you go forward, it actually helps make the timing of your exit irrelevant. If you have the mindset that you are always ready for sale, even though you have no intention of selling for 2, 3, 5, 10 years and beyond, having that mindset of always being for sale really creates a stronger company and one that actually will have better results in the long term cumulatively, as well as with that payout. It makes it irrelevant. Why does that matter? Well, as a part of being a certified exit planning advisor and also a value growth advisor, I've been a big part of the Exit Planning Institute. In fact, I started the Wisconsin chapter of the Exit Planning Institute. And one of the data points that the EPI often shares is that 1 out of 2 business owners will be forced out of ownership before they had planned to exit. I'll say that again, 1 out of 2. That means you and I could play rock, paper, scissors, and we have as much chance of predicting which one of us gets to leave our business as we planned, or has something derail us. And I think that's true whether we're business owners or not. If you're in a leadership role at work, there's still a chance that you could be moved out of that role before you planned. But we'll focus on business ownership here for a moment, and what are the drivers behind that? They are what I refer to as the 5 Ds: death, divorce, disability, disagreement, and distress. And for the death and the disability, that may be yours, that might be a loved one in your family. But any 5 of those, any 5 of those will derail your ownership before you're ready. And if you weren't ready, you'll be leaving money on the table and leaving a show, if you will, being polite, leave a show behind for everyone behind. And that's just really not particularly fair. And it's avoidable. I mean, the 5 Ds may not be avoidable, but leaving money on the table or leaving a dog pile for everyone around you to clean up certainly is. So how ready are people to transition out of their business? Well, here's some statistics that I want to share with you. And I'm going to share my screen again here so we can do this properly. So some statistics, again, through the Exit Planning Institute. These show the success rates, if you will, for ownership transition historically. So the first one I want to draw your attention to is the second one on your left, and that is that 70 to 80% of businesses put on the market don't sell, ever. Only 20 to 30% of businesses ever sell. That's pretty striking that so many businesses really ultimately just close down. For those that do sell, EPI shares, I think it was maybe PwC, I don't remember which global CPA firm did a study on business ownership, and they found that 3 out of 4 business owners, 12 months after selling their business, profoundly regretted selling their business. That's simply horrifying to me. And that's also one of the reasons why I get up and do what I do every day, because nobody should feel that way after a lifetime's work of building a business and then selling it. And we'll dive into some of those reasons here in a minute. But the same is true in family businesses where you're not necessarily selling the company, but transitioning it to the next generation. The transition rates aren't always that stellar either, as you can see on the slide. By the time you get to the 3rd and the 4th generation, the probability of ownership of that business still being in the family is pretty darn low. So a while back in 2018, our Wisconsin chapter, we did a state of owner readiness survey here in Wisconsin. And this survey has been replicated in between 10 and 15 markets where EPI has chapters. And the data points are remarkably consistent. They might be, instead of 83%, 84% or 80%, but they're all in the relative range. And this is what it tells us. It tells us that business owners are not thinking about value. They're not thinking about exit. They're not living by Stephen Covey's first rule of begin with the end in mind. In fact, 60% are unfamiliar with their business exit options. 80% don't have a formal written plan. They don't have a transition team. 43% haven't done any planning at all, let alone putting it down in writing. And 41% have no contingency plans. So if they fall ill or get into a car accident, it's definitely going to be a dog pile, because nobody knows who's who in the zoo and what to do next in that situation, even if it's temporary. The other piece that is interesting, and this ties into the historic satisfaction rates, is less than 80% had a formal post-transition plan. So you think about exiting stage right. When you're exiting the stage, most actors know where they're going in between scenes. Well, in this case, business owners don't know where they're going next. They don't just walk off stage right, they just fall off the front and create chaos in the process for themselves and their families, and that leads to that sense of disorientation. And in fact, that really is the one of the driving factors for why those transition rates suck. Um, there's really two drivers, I think. One is when it comes to the 75% we're unhappy, profoundly regretting, a lot of that comes down to the fact that people don't understand how businesses really do make money and how value is created, how you can look at one company and two different companies, same level of business, and they have very different values. And therefore, most business owners think, my baby is beautiful. I should get a cajillion dollars because my baby's beautiful. And what they don't realize is valuation isn't what you think. No, and I'm going to restate that. Valuation isn't what you think, it's what the buyer thinks. But so often people go into that with unrealistic expectations and don't understand what's created value in their business and how they potentially left money on the table with every decision they made by not having that value focus in it. Another reason for that dismay and regret is that they didn't know what they were going to do next. They just thought they'd put down the champagne glass and live happily ever after. And that's looking in the rearview mirror then. You're not looking forward. And so it's important to have that future focus view. Exit stage right and know what that next cool adventure is going to be. That makes all the difference in the world here. So I do want to spend just a couple of moments and share with you how I envision the future shows going. We talked a little bit about the valuation segment, I would say. In future shows, as we have time, we'll also talk about the segment that I'm calling, rather, Eat Nails. And in this particular segment, what we're going to do is we are going to talk about those things that, you know what, I really would rather kick that can down the road. I'd rather eat nails. But you know what? We are some really pretty badass women, and we're not afraid of it. We'll eat that nail. We'll pull up our big girl pants, throw our shoulders back, and we will dive into some of these topics that we'd rather kick the can down the road, but we know that it is in our best interest because we are women on a mission, and we shy away from, we're not the ones that shy away from the tough stuff. We're the ones that will support each other and talk about some of these topics and have, you know, our questions asked and answered and all that sort of stuff. We are committed to, in this show, to making nails that breakfast of champions. So then the other segment that we will be talking about in the show is called Shake It, Shake Your Money Maker. And in this segment of the show, I recognize that math is not everyone's strong suit. And in fact, one of my favorite Jimmy Buffett songs is Math Sucks. And if you've never heard it, go YouTube it. It's just a priceless Jimmy Buffett song. And I recognize math sucks for a lot of people. But you know, I learned a little trick from my husband. When he was back in grad school, he had to go back and take math. And he's a marketing guy. He's not into math. Although he decided he had to get his head around algebra, what's accounting? Accounting at its core is algebra. So algebra got a heck of a lot easier when he put dollar signs in front of it. And so that's what we're going to spend some time in future shows talking about when we are in the Shake Your Money Maker segment, talking about those things, about how you understand how your money is flowing through your business. And you know, maybe you'll learn to love your financials, because when you love your financials, they do love you back. You are in a much stronger position to manage your company, manage your profits, grow your revenues profitably, and absolutely enhance the value of your company. So those are the segments that we'll be touching on in future shows. And I want to be mindful that we are getting close to the end of our time together today. So I want to thank you so much for joining our show today. This was our first show on the Win-Win Women Network, which is actually Win-Win Women Global Movement, because we are ladies on a move. We want to support one another through teaching and great talk and conversation, and supporting each other build our own financial futures. So thank you so much for joining us today on the show. And I'm going to do, I'm going to do one more bit of a plug for you. One thing that I want to share with you is the fact that at Provenance Hill Consulting, we do have a variety of workshops that we welcome you to join in. There's one starting in April. The other one doesn't start until June, but the first one, Get a Grip, starts in April, and I hope that you will check it out. And to make that a little bit easier for you, I am going to share my screen one more time. And there you go. There is a way that you can check out our workshops. The one in April is called Get a Grip. And if you go to the Provenance Hill website, you will find that under the workshops tab. It's a tab. And or you can simply scan this QR code. The other thing that I want to do is invite you, if there are topics you want us to cover on Exit Stage Right, we are happy to take your suggestions. Just email us at ESR for, you got it, Exit Stage Right, ESR@provenancehill.com, and we will be ecstatic to listen and hear and see what we can do together in creating this show. So it is a great experience for everyone. So Exit Stage Right, you know, thank you so much for joining us today. And for those of you that have joined live, please stick around for the live Ask Me Anything section of the show. And for those of you that have got a scoot or are watching this on the Win-Win Women TV network, join us live next time if you can. Otherwise, we'll catch you back here at Win-Win Women TV. And with that, I'm Martha Sullivan. the host of Provenance Hill Presents Exit Stage Right, and I value you. Thank you for joining us.